Greetings everyone, DonTheCrown here, coming to you with the Legion Balance Manifesto, and we're just going to read through this nice and slow and take it all in. So 3.7 includes a huge number of changes to melee balance as well as other gameplay systems. Melee combat. The aim of many of the melee combat changes is to further develop and reinvigorate many combat systems for the core, marauder, and duelist archetypes. The overall goal is to create a greater diversity of melee skills and more exciting gameplay with them from early game through late game. I like that, man. I think that's pretty good. Let's make this a little bigger. Early game melee combat feel. A number of changes have been made to melee which change the feel of early combat. Most melee skills now have more or less attack speed, shown on the gem as a percentage of base attack speed. This is to both better match their animations and creating a noticeable difference between fast aggressive attacks and slower, much deadlier slams. Many low-level weapons have had their attack speeds increased to bring them closer to the fastest speed of their item class. This should lessen the feeling of a weapon feeling clunkier compared to the lower-level equivalent, with more of the speed coming from the weapon class and the skills that can use it. That's good, because there's lots of times, like, there's a couple of axes, for example, when you're like leveling up Sunder or Frost Blades, where it's like, man, I really don't use the next tier of weapon because it's a 0.2 speed, and I'm going to be leap slamming so slow. So hopefully they're fixing some of that. Next up is striking multiple targets. Swings with melee weapons could previously only hit a single target, affecting both default attack and a large number of melee skills such as Glacial Hammer, Frostblade's Frenzy, Flicker Strike, and more. We've made changes that mean that every swing has a damage cone with a damage pattern that matches the attack animation. The standard melee attack animation has changed, now using one based on the double strike animation. This improves the feeling of combat flow while creating a new hit rhythm that will be more consistent across classes. We aim to make a much greater animation improvements than 4.0 when we change all of the character stuff. Oh wait, that's not there. But this is a step towards a more natural feeling combat. Skill rebalance. We've made a pass of damage, attack speed, area effect, and more to many melee skills. The goal of this change is to make some less powerful choices more competitive with other comparable alternatives. Many attack gems now also have added damage that grows as the gem levels. This is mostly to provide more damage growth to characters while leveling if they haven't found a powerful weapon. Different gems have different relative strength of added damage, so your skill choice may also be determined by how much you want to take advantage of the gem's damage compared to your other damage sources. Okay, so talking a little bit about gems and other things there, and how they interact with the added damage. We made some significant changes to a couple of support gems that affect many melee skills. Okay, I see the first one's multi-strike. This support multi-strike now provides a lower attack speed multiplier, just over half that of the existing support gem. Oh! The previous iteration provided far too large an attack speed multiplier for a single gem, causing problems with performance, effects, animation, and balance. The skill repeats now have a damage multiplier, dealing double damage on the third repeat. You can now interrupt a multi-strike animation between repeats, letting you avoid a dangerous boss ability or end an ongoing attack sequence when all enemies have already been dealt with. Overall, this makes multi-striking attacks much more responsive. So less damage, but it's faster. But then we have ascendancy classes that are going super fast. So definitely see multi-strike still in Berserker at least. I'll have to see the damage numbers, but half of the attack speed is pretty noticeable. Right now, it feels like every single gem that can be supported by multi-strike has to be supported by it, because otherwise it feels terrible to play. I'm not sure that taking away multi-strike is the fix for that. So we'll have to see how that feels. Also, multi-strike is really good for mana costs. So there's a lot tied in there with like what the mana cost of everything is compared to the multi-strike, because you like pay less mana, and I haven't seen anything that talked about mana cost just yet at all in this manifesto, so that kind of makes me worried a little bit. Melee Splash, you can now hit multiple targets with a single weapon swing. Melee Splash can now create multiple splash effects each attack. The skill now has a larger splash damage penalty, as it can much more effectively destroy groups of enemies if you position your attacks carefully. So they're making the splash bigger, but it does less damage? Like, just the simple idea that, like, there's this weird balance where if you try to use melee splash and other stuff, like, you're getting all of these, like, negative side effects to your character in terms of damage. Like, the new, like, regular melee splash without the support better be amazing. Like, freaking amazing. And it's like, if you position your attacks just perfectly, like, rangers have to worry about positioning their attacks at all, dude. They just fucking go. That's actually a good point. Multi-strike and ruthless could actually be really cool together. It's a lot of damage. Fortify support now provides a more melee damage stat instead of an increased melee damage stat, though with a lower damage value. How much was it right now? PUE Wiki Fortify. Let's see here. Should now be a much more tempting choice for primary melee attacks rather than being relegated to secondary and travel skills, though it won't outclass the damage of the most powerful pure damage supports for attacks. So right now, Fortify goes from 25 to 44% physical damage. I think this is a fucking fail. If this, like I've said before, if Fortify support does less than 39% more damage at level 20, it is a fail. Because it literally will not change anything. You will not want to use Fortify on your main attack where you can just leap slam with it. It, like, you either shouldn't be tempting, it should be really freaking good and obvious, or like they need to like give melee something else. I think this is silly. So it'd be interesting to see the numbers here, but I am a little worried. New support and skill gems. We're introducing a number of new support gems, two of which enhance or support slower attacks, while other support gem and aura skill further enhance the pure physical damage playstyle. We hope these changes will improve the strength of these two methods of building characters. We'll be providing more details on the full list of support gems shortly. That's good to hear. Marauder and Duelist Ascendancy classes. So they made changes to the Chieftain, Berserker, and Slayer. We want to give them a more stronger identity. Chieftain should be an amazing choice for fire damage attacker, as it gives a huge amount of life regen. It should be a competitive choice for melee totem character. That's very true. Berserker should be capable of some of the highest damage numbers in the game, though at great cost. I like that. We've also condensed the recovery tools available to him to make them more efficient and let you spend just a few more points on damage. He also has some new critical attack notables that reward building critical strikes in a unique way. Slayer reinforces his place as taking full advantage of life leech while also being capable of massive damage against unique enemies. He also has powerful area bonuses as well as a new critical synergy and a specialized frenzy and endurance charge mechanic. Gladiator is receiving a new notable to support the Gladiator themed blood and sand skills, but isn't receiving any other major changes at this point. And then, like, as an afterpoint, the champion is receiving some minor improvements, and the Juggernaut remains unchanged, other than a damage and area buff to his unyielding passive. Other attack-based ascendancies won't be receiving any changes, though the Raider will be seeing some big changes in 3.8. Okay. I mean, I like these. I've always kind of felt like it's weird that the Slayer is the unique enemy character, whereas like Gladiator you think would be like kind of 101 type of content. Passive tree changes. We've redesigned the positioning and passive wheels of just about everything melee on the passive tree, as well as some bow and wand clusters. Wand clusters. Interesting. Let's see here. About everything on the melee. There's been a particular focus on making critical strikes more viable for a larger selection of melee builds. There are many rewarding opportunities to specialize in certain mechanics like area effect, armor, evasion, impale, hello, blind, and fortify. So that means they actually put impale on the passive tree and not just a champion thing. So impale is like good, and I think they're going to have an impale support. I'm hoping. We've made some notable changes to accuracy calculation, making it much easier to reach higher chances of hit. We've increased the chance to hit cap to 100%, letting you always hit enemies, previously something exclusive to Resolute Technique, and a small number of items, mods, and ascendancies. This will provide a goal for attack characters that has a noticeable impact on combat, and will become a much more reasonable method of hitting enemies for attack characters without high dexterity. The character sheet now shows your chance to hit normal enemies and your chance to hit evasive enemies, so you can measure your hit rating against the foes you're taking on. With the new calculation, you'll need about 3,000 accuracy to always hit normal level 83 monsters. We've also improved and normalized the accuracy rating of the mods on items, while reducing the amount of increased accuracy from passives and increasing their other offensive benefits. This is because these clusters would have trivialized reaching 3,000 accuracy. This value is subject to change as we put the finishing touches on the passive tree. So my character here that has like all of my best gear has... I don't even know if I have actual accuracy node.
Thanks to your hard work, we have at last
main hand accuracy rating 1656. So this character has like no actual accuracy. Like I don't think either of my weapons either has accuracy. So that's not that freaking bad. 1650, yeah. As a result, the normal monsters will have a higher chance to hit players as well. This isn't so noticeable against characters fully invested in evasion, but will have a more noticeable impact if you have a low amount of evasion. There's less free mitigation. You have to work for it now. I mean, I've been using Comb's Roots, so I probably won't notice. The list of dagger and staff base types now includes a number of weapons that inherently can't have any caster modifiers on them. Previously, creating a great attack dagger or staff was significantly more difficult than other weapons like claws or maces. What about wands? As preventing caster modifiers was an additional, often expensive step. A staff that can't roll caster mods is now called a war staff, while daggers that can't roll caster mods are called daggers. And ones that can are called rune daggers. Existing base types are unaffected. We tried to maintain a diverse set of weapons, keeping base types appropriate to those that were favored for a specific role. There have been some numerical changes to these weapons to further reinforce this. So it's like, okay, you have rune dagger or dagger. Added damage from weapons and jewels. The damage granted by a high tier elemental weapon prefix compared poorly with the equivalent physical modifiers, making obtaining a great elemental weapon more about attack speed and critical bonuses, rendering the prefixes almost meaningless. We've remedied by adding an additional tier of local added elemental damage for fire, cold, and lightning. There are already so many tiers. This only makes it harder to make a good weapon, increasing the power of existing high tiers and reducing the weighting of the top two tiers to make obtaining them only slightly less challenging than a weapon of equivalent physical damage. That sucks, man. There are already so many tiers when it comes to like a one-handed sword elemental. Like cold has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Lightning has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they have 10 tiers now. Physical has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So like they're adding an additional 4 lines that you would never want. It's kind of weird. But maybe elemental weapons will be okay. Who knows? On the other end of the scale, Abyssal Joules were providing far more added damage to attacks than we were happy with, making them a far, far greater contributor to damage than your weapon. We've lowered the value of attack damage modifiers to be about 30% lower than before. It made it harder to obtain the highest tiers of all types of added damage. Oof. So the tiers are still there, but they just do less. So at the same time, we've lowered life, mana, and energy shield available from Abyss Joules and made the highest tier harder to obtain, as again, they provided an unreasonable level of survivability for a single jewel slot. RIP Abyss Joules. Also RIP bow builds that use like 17 Abyss Joules. We've changed weapon-specific modifiers on non-Abyss Joules to provide a general damage increase rather than specifically affecting physical damage. So now a good alternative to Abyss Joules for elemental attack characters. Okay, that's not bad. Not bad. Joules are going to be rough though. General combat changes. Animation canceling. You can now cancel your own skills within the first 20% of the attack or cast time, or after the effects of the skill have been unleashed. This will leave you better able to respond to many threats and allow you to be more mobile between attacks without losing potential damage. Canceling an action the first 20% will let you then immediately perform another skill, though there is a delay before you can cancel a skill again. You can't interrupt a skill with the same skill. That's good. So you can't like Tectonic Slam, cancel your Tectonic Slam. That'd be so annoying. Canceling after the events of an action won't let you perform any actions until the first action would have completed other than moving. Let's let you move in short bursts between attacks or casts. So I think that's going to be like a little bit of a racer thing where you like attack, move, attack. But we'll see how that works out. A little bit of orb walking almost. Enemy combat. There have been a large number of changes to enemies through Act 1 and some changes in Act 2. The goal of these changes is to bring their combat to the level of modern monster design, with more opportunities for counterplay to enemies' abilities that are also more dangerous. Some monsters use the new melee system, so the area their attacks will hit will match the animations they use, making combat feel more connected and letting you respond to your actions. I mean, that's great and all until you get like to endgame, and then it just doesn't matter. You just blast, blast, blast. You can't see anything. There's 1,000 monsters on your screen, and they're going to hit harder. A number of skills are now classified as travel skills. These are movement skills that usually move you significantly faster than you would normally move. We're going to be using this distinction on a number of mechanics to both benefit or restrict their use without affecting high damage movement skills. Cool. So they're separating like Leap, Slam, Flame Dash, Lightning Warp, all those shenanigans from like Cyclone. So defensive skills. They made changes to Molten Shell and Immortal Call, connecting them with a new Iron Skin skill. You can read about the changes in this article here. The overall goal is to make defensive abilities reward careful use, though the option of automating them with trigger supports is still available. Changes to powerful skill. Oof. Alright, maybe some of my recommendations I was making before bad. We've decided that Winter Orb, Stormbrand, Bane, and Soul Rend were too powerful for clearing through content without heavy investment, so the damage and other aspects have been reduced in power. Warlord's Mark now only applies its leech bonus to attacks. Oh! RIP all spell casting Life-based builds, period. Oof. The curse easily solved mana problems for casters with minimal investment, and after deliberation we decided that solving mana problems for spellcasters should require more thought and a greater opportunity cost. Yeah, it also screws mana too, like, whew. So mana's gone, life-based casting is gone, everybody has to go yes. Herald of Agony has had its minion damage per virulence reduced, as the skill provided a huge amount of power for very little passive investment. Oof. Hoag got nerfed. Dag, man. So Hoag got nerfed, Winter Orb got nerfed, Stormbrand got nerfed, Bane got nerfed, Solren got nerfed. It's Melee League. Get the crabs out. Oh my gosh. Melee's here. Mages are gone. Passive tree changes. Powerful Ascendancy classes. Certain notables on some Ascendancy classes that provided too much potential damage or defense have been changed. The Occultist now only has a single energy shield based notable, with a condensed and limited version of the previous energy shield notables. The ability for Energy Shield to be uninterrupted if recovery has started recently has been moved to a new keystone found near the Witch, making the mechanic available to a broader selection of characters, though with a new downslide. So Occultist nerfed. Trickster's Ghost Dance charges now generate at a slower rate and provide a reduced value of attack and cast speed. The charges were rarely depleted on a reasonable character in normal gameplay, providing massive defensive power that was far too reliable. So mild Trickster nerf. An Elementalist Beacon of Ruin notable has been changed, no longer granting proliferation of elements, and with a lower value of minimum shock. Oh man, the shock benefit provided too much power in combination with increases to shock effect, while the proliferation had significant effects on performance regardless of whether it was taken full advantage of or not. We'll be replacing or changing this and other sources of proliferation in the future. So they pretty much just like kicked Elementalist down and took its best toy away. Oh my god. That feels so bad for some builds, dude. That is a big negative. We completely changed Mortal Conviction, the notable behind blood magic, and is now a keystone that restricts you to only one non-banner aura skill, but removes the reservation cost. The mana cost of Herald skills and other specialized reservation skills will need to be paid with life in full. This will let you take blood magic and an aura without compromising available life at the cost of limited options being available to you. This will mean that builds that use blood magic and Mortal Conviction to conserve a very large number of auras, all of them, while being protected by Energy Shield, will be restricted to one aura. We may return this mechanic in the future on a more specialized source than the passive tree. Goodbye, every aura supports. Goodbye. You guys are gone. Get out of here. Also, I think we just found out how that we are going to, how we are going to be able to pay for our mana for Zerker. We go in blood magic Zerker. Go in blood magic Zerker, man. That's gonna be really cool. Who needs to worry about mana costs when you can just spend your blood? It's so perfect. And to give you guys an idea, pretty much the thing in the back there was 50% increased maximum life and 50% less mana reserved. Not bad. We removed the powerful passive clusters behind many keystones. These passives were being used to add additional power to keystones in a way that worked well on the passive tree, but unique items were unable to receive the same power without characters being able to double up by taking both the unique and the keystone. Future balance additions to these keystones will come in the form of abilities on the keystone itself rather than on additional modifiers. So I think what they're talking about here is that they are going to be going and taking like the nodes behind Mind Over Matter, all the additional increased mana nodes up there. Energy Shield on the passive tree. We made a number of changes to bonuses to Energy Shield on the passive tree. The value of increases to Energy Shield on various passive clusters have been lowered, with some flat Energy Shield available early in the passive tree. This will let Energy Shield have some extra defensive benefits at early levels, while reducing the potential Energy Shield that a fully invested late game character can achieve. There is a new Energy Shield cluster between Templar and Witch, a location that was missing Energy Shield options while pathing between classes. Welp, rip ES so much. Rip 10k, no investment. Indirect changes to Unnatural Instinct from passive tree changes. The critical multiplayer passive near Scion's starting area provided far too much power through the Unnatural Instinct Jewel. It has been changed to accuracy. Oh. So before those were like 15% accuracy nodes, right? A 50% crit multi. Now it's accuracy. Oh my gosh. Unnatural Instinct's getting there. So far I'm like laughing and enjoying this because this is literally every single thing that I haven't been playing for the last like year. I haven't been playing ES, haven't been playing Unnatural Instinct. Yeah, it's pretty good. I still think Unnatural Instinct is good because you can get a lot of stuff over there. But yeah, getting accuracy. I mean, accuracy could actually be really, really pog. So, Defenses from equipment. Inclusion of the dense fossil with delve in the item quality crafted modifiers with betrayal significantly increased the potential energy shield available on many item slots with minimal investment. The values granted were too great, so we made changes to both dense fossils and quality crafted modifiers. You can no longer craft any local item quality on boots, gloves, and helms. You'll still be able to craft them on body armors and shields. Ow. Ow, dude. Ow, dude. Dense fossils no longer include local armor, invasion, or energy shield suffixes. Oh, wow. Everybody spend your dense fossils today. Instead, fossils will have a local item quality as a potential suffix on body armors and shields, with a slightly higher potential value than the craftable mods. Other item slots will have new modifiers appropriate to their defenses. I forget how much the value was before on dense fossils, the underground nerf, or the underground mod. I don't know if I have it here. We'll look here real quick. The percentage of energy was 25 to 50%. All right, never mind. That's really high. So, thing you gotta realize is that quality, every one quality on an ES item is also 1% ES. So even if it's just 20, like the top end is like it's kind of like near the lower end. So still kind of nerf, right? Still kind of nerf. Powerful unique item rarity. Certain very powerful unique items will be harder to obtain now. This includes Headhunter, Eternity Shroud, and Solstice Vigil. Solstice Vigil. I don't know what this means. I don't know what this means. Are doctor's cards gonna be harder to get? Are nurse cards gonna be harder to get? Is it just dropping a headhunter is gonna be harder to do? Yeah, interesting. New skill enchantments. 3.7 will initially include enchantments for the new skills. We're planning to release them shortly after, once we've had time to develop interesting and worthwhile enchantments that improved on their most interesting aspects. There's been ongoing discussion about the enchantment system, but we've yet to come to a conclusion on how obtaining helmet enchantments may change as a result of new enchantments making specific enchantments harder to find. Yep. I mean, sounds like they're looking at fixing it, right? Leech. We'd hoped to simplify and rework this Leech system for 3.7. The more we developed our new system, the more we realized that it was such an extreme change that it would disorient too many players and potentially require more balance and iteration than we were comfortable with in the time available. We decided to make the change alongside 4.0 as part of other more significant and sweeping balance changes. We hope this will let us do a system justice by making the system better fit the game's progression with much more reward for investment, a significant shift from the way Leech currently plays in the game. If you don't know, right now you need like 1 node of like mana and life leech and you're good to go. So yeah. Bleeding and other attack ailments. Though there are many changes that affect bleeding, ailments with attacks don't have a natural growth in power during progression that we're happy with. They don't provide enough interesting interactions. We plan to make more significant changes to damaging ailments, especially with attacks in the future. So I've been saying this for a while, like I don't think they're going to fix ailments this patch, and there you go. No particular changes to either bleeding or poison in these notes. Really what these notes to me seemed like was a big FU to casters that used ES, casters that were using Warlord Mark rings, way down now. Elementalist gets screwed over, Occultist kind of gets gutted a little bit, Trickster, little ding. I feel like kind of doing a little bit of the right thing with the powerful unique item rarity. Like there's 3 items that they named here. Basically for the longest time, Headhunter has been the only thing that people care about. It's like Headhunter. And then there's a few things that are a little bit up there, but there's very few like chase items. When I first joined the game, there was an item called Skyforth, Sorcerer Boots, and they're still in the game, and they just aren't really worth anything anymore. But I remember like being like, oh man, like my goal for the league is to get a Skyforth. So I think they're going to be increasing Eternity Shrouds and Solstice Vigils to be more like an old Skyforth, where like these are super freaking expensive. The fact that they're still available and still probably the same values don't fix the fact that they're really strong. An Eternity Shroud is basically too strong. There'll be a lot less people doing it. There's a lot less people doing Solstice Vigil. But like, even if Headhunter is 200 exalts, people will have them. I mean, it's not going to stop people from getting them, that's for sure. So, yeah, those are my thoughts right now on the Balance Manifesto. I'm really looking forward to seeing the full patch notes. I'm really looking forward to seeing the skill gems, see how much attack speed they're taking away for some of these, how much added damage they're doing. I really do think there's a lot of opportunity here. Seems like they really want to open up a lot of skills and kind of like have 2 different kinds of skills, like really fast aggressive or slow heavy hitting attacks. And I think that's neat. I think that's like important. Multi-strike kind of scaling back the attack speed for most attacks. That's going to be really better for them visually, because right now I attack like 14 times a second right now with Tectonic Slam, and that's a lot. However, if you're combining like multi-strike with Ruthless support, didn't mention Ruthless being changed, but like doing double damage and also doing extra damage from Ruthless, that's a lot of damage. Could be really cool. I'm looking forward to using it, looking forward to abusing it, looking forward to testing out every single melee skill in this upcoming patch. As part of my goal is to try to kill Uber Elder with every single skill and try to play every single ascendancy that's been like massively changed, maybe even more, probably a bunch of different ways. So thank you much, guys. Really do appreciate it. If I missed anything, or like what's your favorite like change from this, and what's your least favorite change, put those down in the comments. And if you like this kind of stuff, give the video a like. But I thank you guys for being here, and we'll see you over maybe on my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/DonTheCrown. Have a good one, guys.